legendary drummer and Montclair resident Billy Hart is a 2022 National Endowment for the Arts Jazz Master. Without a doubt, one of America's highest honors.
It was a great surprise, huge surprise. I'm very lucky and honored. I'm honored to get that.
I'm going to present you with this award this evening. You are so deserving, and thank you.
He's on over 500 records, and by some calculations, he's the most recorded modern jazz drummer. Billy Hart was born in 1940 and came of age in the great explosion of small group modern jazz. You know, as a teenager, he got to see Miles Davis and John Coltrane live and up close, and he eventually played with most of the greats.
Well, Ethan is one of my closest friends. He's been involved in my music, but I've also been involved in his music.
His playing has a kind of euphoria in the beat. When I was just a teenager collecting records, I'd always buy the album that Billy Hart was on drums because I knew that euphoria, the swing would be there. And that's why he's on 500 records, by the way, is it always feels so good.
Billy's maternal grandmother lived in an apartment in Washington, D.C., across the hall from the legendary saxophone player Buck Hill.
Buck Hill, I walked in his apartment. He came home from work and gave me 2 Charlie Parker records. I heard the music. I fell in love with it. That's the whole Billy Hart story right there. I fell in love with the music. There was no other way. There was no other way that I would have heard that music.
Buck Hill continued to mentor the young drummer and at some point invited the teenager to sit in on a Sunday afternoon jam session at one of Washington's local jazz clubs.
I went down to this jam session and I played a couple of tunes, and I didn't do terrible, but it wasn't great. But about the third tune, I did terrible. And then I was heartbroken because I knew it was bad. So I began to be really hurt and depressed, and after I got off from the bandstand, I walked somewhere to be by myself so I could lick my wounds by myself. As I was walking away, somebody grabbed me by the back of my pants and said, you know, it wasn't all your fault. It takes 3 of us to make a rhythm section, which is my first jazz lesson, my first music lesson. When I looked up, that was Shirley Horn. I didn't realize that she had been playing the piano.
Shirley Horn was not yet famous. Billy Hart went on to perform and record with her for decades until she died in 2005.
I'm getting hungry. Peel me a grape.
Billy was also the drummer on Herbie Hancock's 1971 M1 album. The tune, Sleeping Giant, starts with a famous drum solo.
Herbie Hancock is this genius that debuted with the Chicago Symphony when he was 11 years old. And he ended up somehow meeting Miles Davis and performing with Miles. And he became a star, and somehow he ended up hiring me. It was the Herbie Hancock Sextet, and we had met a guy that taught us some Swahili greetings. And we ended up having Swahili names. If you look on a lot of records that I'm on, you'll see this name. Instead of Billy Hart, it'll be Jabali. And Herbie had a name too, and his name was M1.
In his early 80s now, Billy Hart shows little sign of slowing down. He tours with his own band, with Ethan Inverson on piano. He teaches at Oberlin College, the New England Conservatory of Music, and other universities. And he plays with his longtime buddies in the Cookers.
I've been knowing Eddie Henderson since we were high school. Cecil McBee is older than I am.
But everybody in this particular group are around the same age group. late 70s, early 80s, and we all come from that particular generation.
He's connected to the drums. Once he's connected and we start playing, then something's going to happen. The magic happens, yeah.
He is a modest person, but in terms of his musical prowess, it's grandiose.